online callers game.
Had all the people down. Jason Johnson came over. Jason Johnson to watch.
Okay. It's fine though.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Well, it's Friday, October 17th, 2025. I'm Brittany Noble, sitting in for Roland Martin tonight. Here's what's coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. The Shutdown Showdown continues as the Senate fails for the 11th time to pass the bill to reopen the government, leaving thousands in financial limbo. A new study reveals 15,000 documented attempts to erase, distort, or suppress Black progress in America. The founder of the Onyx Impact will explain their findings. Plus, Mississippi's Department of Environmental Quality's Permit Board reversed its decision and unanimously approved a UK-based company to increase pollution from its wood pellet plant. We'll speak with a community organizer who promises to fight to keep Gloster's air clean. And Wake Forest University names a residence hall in honor of two Black distinguished alums with deep ties to the University and Winston-Salem. And we'll have highlights from the Chris Tucker Foundation Celebrity Golf Tournament. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing, putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on Go, roll, roll, y'all.
Well, it's day 17 of the government shutdown and still no deal in sight. This is now the third longest shutdown in modern U.S. history. After the Senate failed to break the stalemate for the 11th time, Majority Leader John Thune sent lawmakers home until Monday. Meanwhile, thousands of federal workers are furloughed and waiting for a paycheck now. The standoff boils down to a fight over health care tax credits. No surprise, Speaker Mike Johnson blames Democrats for blocking a deal.
If you're keeping count at home, we're on day 17 of the shutdown. The Democrats have now voted for the 11th time to keep the government closed. 11 times now. They've refused to just do their basic job, get the government going again, making sure that federal employees are paid, that our troops are paid, Border Patrol agents, TSA agents, air traffic controllers, and everyone else who relies upon the vital services of our federal government. They're being denied that because Democrats in Congress are playing games. And right now, to add insult to injury, if you're paying attention at home, you also need to make note of this. Yesterday, the Senate Democrats took it a step further. They rejected a standalone bill to fund our nation's defense and pay our troops. They voted it down. Now, why is that so noteworthy? Well, the bill was passed out of committee in the Senate with broad bipartisan support. And yet, the Democrats still engaged in a stunt on the floor, and they rejected it. So now they are on record specifically and exclusively to block the paychecks of the troops, to block the funding of our national defense in a very dangerous moment in world history. It is absurd to us. Leader Thune said this on the floor, on the Senate floor after that vote. He said, quote, "That one vote demonstrates just how fundamentally disinterested Democrats are in supporting our troops and providing for our common defense." Yes, that is exactly what we saw. And I suspect if they were here today and it was on the floor, they'd do it once again.
Now, the House is still not even scheduled to come back yet. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries counters, saying most Democrats won't accept a deal that doesn't include meaningful health care provisions, but they remain open to negotiation.
We look forward to sitting down with anyone, anytime, any place, either here at the Capitol or back at the White House, to reopen the government, to enact a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people, while also addressing decisively the Republican health care crisis that continues to hurt everyday Americans all across the country. Every day that goes by, there are people throughout America receiving notices that their health care premiums, copays, and deductibles are about to skyrocket. In the district in upstate New York, the North Country, currently represented by Elise Stefanik, there are couples who currently pay about $2,000 per year for their health insurance premiums because they benefit from Affordable Care Act tax credits. When those credits go away, that same couple will now pay more than $20,000 a year. They cannot afford that. These are working class Americans living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to get by, can barely survive, yet alone thrive. In this country, and this is the wealthiest country in the history of the world. So House and Senate Democrats are going to continue to hold firm as it relates to a basic common sense position that when we enact spending bills, we should be helping the American people, not hurting them. And so we will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. But we will continue to extend that offer to our Republican colleagues and to President Trump and members of his administration. Let's sit down in good faith to reopen the government, to stand by our hardworking federal employees, to enact a spending bill that actually improves the quality of life of the American people, and to address the health care crisis that Republicans have created, devastating people all across the country, including in rural America, in black and brown communities all throughout America, in urban America, in the heartland of America, and in small town America.
Well, the impact is spreading far beyond D.C. Now protesters are gearing up for this weekend's second round of No Kings rallies across the country, blasting Donald Trump's shutdown and his recent immigration arrest. More than 2,500 anti-Trump protests are planned for tomorrow. That's about 450 more than were planned in June, all across the United States of America. I want to introduce our panel for tonight. We have Matt Manning, civil rights attorney from Corpus Christi, Texas. Look, Matt, I know that you had a lot to say to Roland about last week's football game. I'm so sorry. You'll have to wait a little time before you guys can have that conversation, but congrats on the win.
All right.
We also have Dr. Greg Carr from Howard University's Department of Afro-American Studies. He's here in studio. And Michael Imhotep, the host of the African History Network show, joining us from Detroit, Michigan. Matt, let's start with you. Can you break down really what's going on here legally? When Congress doesn't pass a budget, what does that actually mean for the rest of us?
Well, that's a good question. I think, across the board, what that means is a lot of the programs that are normally funded are not funded. And as it relates to people like myself who either practice law or have a case, it's interesting we're talking about this today because just today I got an email from one of the federal district courts basically saying that it's extremely limited in what it can do now because it's not funded. And then I got further emails from assistant U.S. attorneys with whom I have cases telling me that they cannot take any actions on their cases because the government isn't funded. So what this means is, practically, at least in the legal context, you're not having all the things that normally happen in a court continue to go on. I know that the federal judiciary has some limited capacity for now, but it's really kind of a major issue, of course, because not only are certain people not getting paid, I know that there are some agencies that are exempted. I think the Treasury Department and some others are continuing to have certain appropriations where they're staying open. But what this means is that the government is not functioning in the way the government is supposed to function. And what this 11th vote failing means is that the partisanship in Congress is at the point that they can't even get anything done. And we talked about that the last week. It's really just we as citizens should be infuriated that people in D.C. whom we send there to do their jobs cannot do the basic job of keeping the government open. And I think what this means beyond all of that is things like food banks are not getting the monies that they need. Other support programs are not being funded in the way that is necessary for citizens to get their services.
And Michael, how does this shutdown fit into the bigger history of how our government has treated Black workers and Black families?
Well, as I reminded people last Friday, the last government shutdown happened under Donald Trump, and it was December 2018 to January 2019, and it lasted 35 days. And that government shutdown was devastating for African Americans that work for the federal government, with basically 19% of the 2.3 million, or maybe 2.2 million now, federal employees. So when you have people who are furloughed, and we know early in the this current shutdown, at least 750,000 government employees were furloughed, which means that they cannot work and they don't get paid. Then we have people from TSA and other entities that have to still show up to work and are not getting paid. So this will have a huge impact, a negative impact on African American households. That's on top of the DOGE cuts coming from Elon Musk, that Donald Trump unleashed on people, because those DOGE cuts, you all know, had a devastating impact on African Americans in Washington, D.C. and the Washington, D.C. area. We saw a number of houses be put on the market, things of this nature. And it's important for people to really understand that 85% of government employees live outside of the Washington, D.C. area. They live all across the country. So, yes, this is having a devastating impact on the African American community. But if the American Care Act subsidies end, as they're supposed to at the end of this year, and they don't, and Democrats, Republicans don't fix that, that's going to have a devastating impact. And we know it's estimated that 11.8 million people are going to lose, at least 11.8 million are going to lose health care. So We're looking at short-term pain to try to stave off this long-term healthcare cliff that also affects affordability.
And Dr. Carr, let's bring you in. How does this government shutdown make us look to the world globally?
Well, the United States has lost the world PR battle. All you got to do is read any of the foreign papers and see the workarounds that are being put in place. Brazil reaching out to Nigeria for new billion-dollar deals, China in everybody's embassy proposing deals. You see that. I think this story in particular hinges around a purebred liar named Mike Johnson, a MAGA Muppet, in fact, who was taking his orders from the President of the United States. It's not about paying or not paying the troops. This is about the expansion of presidential authority. Donald Trump, who doesn't remember much at these days, but when you hear him talk about constitutional law, he keeps repeating what's been put into his ear by a little nasty piece of work at the Office of Management and Budget named Russell Vogt. Article 2, Article 2, Article 2. They have this expanded theory of the presidency, the executive branch. And under that, that's what they're proposing to pay these troops with. The memorandum that Trump put out day before yesterday, this memorandum is written by Russell Vogt. It's to Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon. And it's from the director of the Office of Management and Budget. Trump's not running the government. He's just repeating what they're telling him to do. So when the Democrats voted against it, it's because they're not voting against paying the troops. What they're voting against is you can't expand presidential authority. The Constitution gives the power to purse exclusively to Congress. So this is what this is really about. And so when the MAGA Muppet gets up in line, by the way, Mr. Congressman, it'd be a very nice day. Isn't it a nice day to swear in Gravalva? Release the Epstein files. You don't want to swear her in. She's an elected congressman. All this is really about something else. And he's trying to make it look like it's the Democrats versus now the troops. And that's just a bold-faced lie.
Do you think it's possible that lawmakers should or could face any type of penalties for what's happening?
Absolutely, because we live in an idiocracy. People will actually listen to that fool and think that's what's happening. And so they'll say, why are y'all against the troops? So they could absolutely face blowback. And that's why I hope that the Democrats in the Senate voted to advance this, because they're afraid of blowback and not because they don't understand that this is about something very different. It's about expanding this presidency beyond the scope that has ever been seen in this country.
Matt, I want to ask you, how does this shutdown, how does it impact our courts, housing and other civil rights cases? Can you talk to us in detail about some of those cases?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I actually don't know the answer. I mean, I think what's going to happen, like I was saying, is a couple hours before we came on the air, I got an email from the Northern District of Texas, and they indicated there that the court is going to continue to hear things. So I think especially with criminal matters, the court will still be open. But as it relates to what even lawyers for the United States are able to do, it's severely limited. Like I mentioned, I have a couple cases right now against the United States where the government is a defendant, and the attorneys reached out to me weeks ago and said, hey, we're not going to have money to do our jobs. We don't have support staff. If you file something, I can't respond to it. So I've got to ask that the court stays the case. And, you know, we already have a DOJ that is not enforcing civil rights laws. In fact, is trying to find a way to flip the script and enforce them for white people, right? But what this means is anybody who is required to have the government plead their case, maybe somebody, for instance, who is a victim in a criminal case and they have immigration matters incidental to their involvement as a witness in a criminal case. I mean, it may be that they're not having a visa processed, that they're not being protected the same way, any incidental hearings to their safety are not being held, or maybe being held in a longer time frame than they're supposed to. So I don't know the answer on the ground on what that's going to affect, but I will tell you my own practice, it's already been affected because my cases are on hold because the United States cannot pay the lawyers that represents it.
And to everyone, what are you guys hearing from people about how they're getting by while still waiting for Congress to act?
Who's that question for?
Anyone. I mean, really, what does the shutdown mean for the single mom working for the federal government or the family waiting for benefits to come through? How are they getting by?
Probably relying upon family. I have not seen, so I'm here in Detroit, okay, and I have a large social media platform, but I have it, but the overwhelming majority of the responses I've seen on social media is from African Americans is that they support the government shutdown. Now, as far as government employees, things like that, they're probably, relying upon family. tapping into what little savings they have. I haven't seen. I remember in the last government shutdown, people having to call off from work, like working for the TSA. They couldn't afford gas to go back and forth to work, things like that. So I think as this goes on, you'll hear more stories like that. People trying to pay for childcare, can't pay for childcare, et cetera. But I haven't had people, and I know government employees, I haven't had people tell me about it now. I know congressional staffers. It's hard for them, but it hasn't gotten to the point where it was during the 35-day government shutdown, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I also think that there are, we know this because we're in the area, there are two kind of broad categories for federal workers, that's really impacting us. You got those folk who are there for whom maybe this is a second job, they've been military, they retired, they came back, they're kind of in a position, some of them are talking about retirement, if they've been in federal government 20, 30 years. Then they're the group that just came in 5 years, maybe at max, they're looking for jobs. I think the biggest kind of retirement we saw this week is Admiral Halsey. He's over the Southern Command in the Caribbean Sea, and he's like, we don't know why, but I can imagine he's like, we're not just coming out here killing people in the Caribbean Sea claiming we claim terrorists. But this man did 37 years in the military, so him stepping out, it might even be a raise to people with his Social Security with his benefits and with his federal paycheck. So there's that group. I think they're fine. I think we're probably all more concerned about those younger folk, those transient folk, the people who operate around the periphery of the federal government, whether it's selling egg and cheeses or whatever they're selling at the delis or the little shops or the people who clean up in the buildings. And, what are they doing? And I think that's probably the two categories.
Well, we have so much more to talk about here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. We want to know, did you get your copy of Roland's book, White Fear? How the Browning of America is making white folks lose their minds. It's available at bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version, read by Roland, on Audible. Coming up after the break, the man once trusted with America's top secrets is now accused of mishandling them. We'll discuss Donald Trump's former national security advisor with our panel on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
How you doing? My name is Mark Carey, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Deep into it, like pasteurized milk without the 2%. We getting deep. You want to turn that shit off? We doing an interview, motherfucker.
Welcome back. The twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief, Donald Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, pleaded not guilty today to 18 counts of mishandling classified information in a Maryland federal court. Prosecutors allege that Bolton emailed over 1,000 pages of sensitive material, including top secret national security details to family members, and kept classified documents at his home. Bolton, a frequent critic of Trump since he left the administration, claims that he is being targeted as part of Trump's campaign to intimidate his opponent. His attorney argues that the facts of the case were investigated years ago and that Bolton did not act unlawfully. If convicted, Bolton could face up to 10 years in prison for each charge, and this marks the latest indictment involving prominent adversaries of Trump. Let's bring our panel back into the conversation. I want to start with Matt. Can you help us understand what exactly are the legal consequences of these kind of charges?
Yeah, well, I think you said it perfectly. I mean, obviously, he's looking at potential prison time. And I'll tell you that this is a really frightening charge, right, for a couple reasons. First, I haven't read every word of the indictment. I've read part of it. But my understanding is Mr. Bolton met with the FBI 8 times. I have never had a case where my client has met with law enforcement. I mean, I generally don't have them meet with law enforcement unless it makes sense to, right? But meeting with them 8 times is really a major issue to me, because it stands to reason then that the Federal Bureau of Investigation did not find any reason to charge John Bolton until now. I think basically what I'm getting at is it really calls into question the timing of this indictment. And I really am interested in seeing who individual 1 and individual 2, whom he allegedly sent this information, are, because I don't work in this space. I don't know the custom, but it wouldn't be surprising if this were somebody that either was a very high-level consultant, somebody with very high-level security clearances, because you would imagine somebody with this kind of security is not going to be sending this kind of information to your average person, presumably, right? So I'm wondering if part of the defense is that he's got a shield in whom he sent it to, or it wasn't actually sent to them because it was a contemporaneous distillation of what he was doing rather than the actual documents. I think once we see with greater specificity how exactly the government is saying he did this, that would be important. But the last thing is there's a difference between a transmission of information and retention of information. So my understanding is the retention in this situation is kind of what Mr. Trump was alleged to have done before with documents at Mar-a-Lago, keeping documents he wasn't supposed to keep, as opposed to disseminating documents. And I think the evidence is going to be very important to see what exactly Mr. Bolton was alleged to have done with respect to both buckets of claims.
And Matt, if this were an everyday government worker accused of mishandling classified information, do you think the outcome would look different?
That's an interesting question. So I think if it's a regular worker who hasn't met with the FBI 8 times, yeah, maybe they do charge this person. But does the general public ever find out about that indictment? No. Does the president and his MAGA Muppets, as the esteemed Dr. Carr said, go across the country and talk about how he's out to get his enemies without saying it brazenly? No, because this kind of thing probably has happened, and there have probably been a myriad of accusations against different people over the years for this exact crime. But what is odd about this to me is somebody who is in the position of national security advisor or anything up at that top echelon of government, they know how this works. So to me, it seems kind of per se hard to imagine that someone with this long government history would do something foolhardy. I mean, I suppose anything can happen, but it seems to me there's a lot more to this story, and we haven't heard it yet because all we hear is the accusations.
Michael, what type of message does it send to the public about who gets punished and who doesn't?
Well, the message that it sends is that Donald Trump is carrying out his enemies list, and he's fulfilling a campaign promise. So he's went after Letitia James. He's went after James Comey, indicted, going after John Bolton. And this is somebody, who served in the previous Trump administration as his national security advisor, but has been a virulent critic of Donald Trump. So he's getting this backlash. This indictment on 18 counts of violation of the Espionage Act, it does follow like a traditional investigation and prosecution, but it still has a stench of retribution. Okay, so we'll have to see how this plays out. We do know that this was investigated under the Biden administration, and charges were not brought. So we'll see what happens with this. But at the same time, to echo Matt, somebody who is John Bolton, somebody who is such a former national security advisor, someone who understands how to handle classified documents. I would be surprised if he was like this careless if all of these allegations prove to be true in court.
And Dr. Carr, from a national security standpoint, how serious is it when a former advisor is accused of mishandling classified documents?
It's very serious. Of course. This is very unserious. Like Mike said, this ain't a murder retribution attempt. As Mike said, remember John Bolton published his memoir, The Room Where It Happened. And let me be very clear, John Bolton is an open enemy to our common humanity. He's a warmonger. This isn't about that. We have to separate those two things. Trump and them launched an investigation of him in 2020. But you know what stopped him was we did. He lost the election. Biden and them, as Mike said, went through and said there's nothing here. So they're bringing that back again. And as Matt said, I mean, he was not charged with obstruction. He's charged with transmission, which is, that's very serious. You would think nobody should be transmitting things over social media. Wait, the Secretary of Defense. So I guess if you're Pete Hegseth on Signal, it's okay. But if you're John Bolton, somehow it's not. And obstruction, of course Trump wasn't giving that stuff up in Mar-a-Lago in his bathroom. And if you're him, the Supreme Court has given him a pass. This is not a serious thing. This is a retribution thing. And at the end of the day, this is probably going to have to be solved in the ballot box. I doubt very seriously the courts, however, are going to let him get away with this. I don't see him getting convicted.
Well, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, a new report is sounding the alarm about the growing effort to erase and distort Black history, health, and progress. We break it all down. The Blackout Report. That's next on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's a time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Hey, yo, what's up? This is Mr. Dalvin right here. What's up? This is KC. Sitting here representing the Jodeci, that's Jodeci. Right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Well, a new report from Onyx Impact is sounding the alarm, saying there's a nationwide effort to erase and twist Black history, health education, and even our economic progress. In just the first 8 months of 2025, investigators found over 15,000, almost 16,000 incidents from data disappearing and budgets getting slashed to pressure on people and institutions to just stay quiet. All while $3.4 billion in grants and research for Black communities, entrepreneurs, and even HBCUs have been slashed. Onyx Impact founder Iosa Osa joins us now to explain their findings. Now, 155,000 incidents within just 8 months. What kinds of actions are we talking about?
Absolutely. Iosa Osa, as the founder of Onyx Impact, what we are, I think you laid that out so wonderfully. What's seen happen in this country this year is outrageous, right? And the Blackout Report by Onyx Impact is by far the most comprehensive analysis that has been done this year on what this attack has meant for Black communities. Our $3.4 billion is such a large number, but what that actually means, right? We're talking about $70 million in grants that are supposed to prevent Katrina-like flooding in Black communities, right? We're talking about $31 million in cuts that are supposed to address asthma rates and air pollution in communities where Black kids have higher rates of lung conditions because of the neighborhoods that they grow up in. We're talking about nearly $10 million cut in sickle cell grants for this country. My little brother suffers from sickle cell disease, right? And to the idea of saying, of using this smokescreen of the term DEI as a rationale to eliminate needed funding in rare diseases that disproportionately impact Black communities, right, is is unacceptable and needs to be called out. And that's why we released this report.
So I'm reading here, it says that there's 3 disinformation tactics to erase, distort, and suppress. Can you go into detail about that?
Yes, absolutely. We go through, so much of this strategy is again cloaked in disinformation. Their real strategy, again, this attack, using attacks on DEI as a smokescreen to erase Black power and control and gain illegitimate power and control, right, across the country. And so we wanted to give folks a framework for how to think about this. We see efforts to erase our history and our data, right? Everything from deleting things on websites to Black book bans to restricting what students can learn, restricting knowledge in America to distortion, hiding and deleting whole data sets of information of Black folks, right? And suppressing, make this mass chilling effect that we have seen revert around not just media, but education, with the level of capitulation that we have seen in just a few months from the institutions that are supposed to uphold and be the driving forces of American democracy have all, we've seen so many of them cripple and fall when it comes to protecting Black communities. And so by using this framework, we wanted to make it extremely clear that what these tactics are, how we should be talking about these tactics. Instead of debating a term, we need to call out the underlying strategy, because when they erase the data, they hide the proof, and then they can prevent the remedy.
I want you to explain exactly the Onyx Impact and what it is that you guys do.
Yes, Onyx Impact. We are a research and digital innovation hub that is focused on amplifying Black voices, fighting information threats that harm Black communities, and empowering Black communities into the future. So we do both research and programming, and really are about uplifting truth and Black voices moving forward.
In your research and stories we've covered, we've seen books banned, DEI offices cut, and history lessons just watered down. So from your research, do you expect this to get worse?
We expect it to get worse because it is their stated strategy, right? This is, and we are one research team. Right. They are an entire federal government that is doing this every single day, and that the effects on the state and local level every single day are so profound. And so while so many folks are paying attention to a culture war nonsense, right? This is not a culture war, it is a power grab. And they are wreaking havoc on Black communities to an extent that we have not seen since Reconstruction.
What do you think people can do to start fighting back?
Well, first, we've got to make sure that we understand what is going on. We cannot respond to a bad faith argument with good faith answers and facts. We have to understand that they are using this term DEI as a smokescreen to erase Black power, to seize illegitimate control, and call out those tactics as when they come up, call out those tactics in the community. And when they need proof and evidence, that's where this report comes in. We have 15,723 distinct examples of harm to Black communities perpetrated by this disinformation campaign. So folks can use this report, understand the tactics, submit more evidence via the website blackoutreport.org, and make sure that they are speaking out in their communities to push back against this, not just the rise of authoritarianism, but how it is affecting Black communities specifically, how it is affecting our jobs, our wealth, our opportunity, right? This is not just about rewriting the past. It is about shaping who has power, who has resources and visibility in not just America today, but into the future.
Let's bring in our panel. Let's bring in Matt Manning and Dr. Greg Carr and also Michael. Matt, let's just start with you. When you hear that more than 15,000 incidents of data erasure and censorship have been found in just 8 months, what's your response legally to that?
I mean, my response to that is it's abhorrent that you're trying to remove history and such an important history here in the United States. But what I wanted to ask Isosa that I think is really a brilliant thing. I saw your methodology. It makes perfect sense to me. But I'm interested in seeing what you think that means for a larger kind of phenomenon outside of the things that are not represented in your data set. And the reason I'm asking is on the local level where I live, they've been fighting book bans forever. That might not be represented in every little city, every little county, but I'm seeing it, when I look in the newspaper that there's Mothers Against Liberty fighting book bans and trying to stack the deck with the board and that kind of thing. So I'm interested in your thoughts on how you can extrapolate from the data you got, what you think those phenomena are looking like on an even lower level, the local city, county levels.
Yes, absolutely. I think, we included as much state and local data as we could, but knowing that so much is dependent on what is reported and right. whether or not people recognize and understand what these tactics are, right? Because they are not going in there and saying, "Hey, we would like to remove all the books by Black authors."
Correct.
But that is what is the result of these actions. And think about what the real fear has to be to decide that restricting knowledge about Black history is the best way to educate our children, right? What is that going to mean and look like? And so I think when we extrapolate this onto the state and local level, what we see is it actually being able to happen more quickly, right? And to your point, taking strategies we've seen happen for a very long time that just get hyper fueled by a broader federal administration, right? That is pushing, being such large proponents of these actions.
If you'd indulge, can I ask one more question?
Of course.
Okay, sorry. Very quickly. So is your data something that can be searchable by state or by locality so that people can see precisely what kind of grants you found were applied for, other things in their specific area and try to push back?
So some of the data is definitely searchable by state. You can, when you go to blackoutreport.org or you can go to our website onyximpact.org, it'll take you straight to the report. There are plenty of links to the actual data set where we break all of this down. And so the grant cuts and things, absolutely, you can see exactly where those are in the database. But broader general book bans, things that are not necessarily state specific, will not have a specific state next to it. But we're trying to provide as much data as possible. Even though
thank you.
Apparently only one side is.
Dr. Carr, what's your response to the report?
Oh, thank you for that, Brittany, and it's good to see you again, Sister Sosa. Thank you for the work that you all are doing. Of the two areas, the data, of course, probably should be, as you walking, explaining this, probably the most concerning. We saw that they got rid of the sister, Carla Hayden, who headed the Library of Congress, replaced her with a hack, Todd Blanche. I think that's Trump's lawyer, the one that went down and met with Maxwell. But Library of Congress controls the Copyright Office. I've had a lot of colleagues being concerned about AI and them now having access to that and training AI on data that they can just maybe figure out how to get access to in the Library of Congress. In your report, and here's where my question comes, I thought it was very astute in the what's next section, raise public awareness, which of course you're doing right now, identify and report when you see these things, kind of following what Matt was raising in terms of if you see it, report. And y'all have got a nice mechanism for reporting there to Onyx. And those accountability standards, I thought was very important. Hold this mass news commercial media responsible. I want to ask you about how we can fight back by continuing to do what we've always done in terms of supporting our institutions, our HBCUs, our community, gathering our community stories, not so much protecting the data, but kind of doing what we did during segregation. You know, when you think about Black History Month, the black K-12 schools did it all the time. We saw Mackenzie Scott gave $63 million today to Morgan State and to the Black Preservation Trust to kind of support that. And the University of Virginia became the 5th school today to tell Trump, we're not signing a compact, my friend. How important is it for us to support those institutions that are doing this work despite this kind of attempt to colonize information, colonize memory, colonize data?
I think that's such a powerful point and question, because that is the only way that we have seen any of this work, right? That is the only way that we have seen effective pushback in not just our own country's history of the liberal governments being brought to power, but in other countries as well. We have to. They are going to mercilessly attack our institutions, right? That is not only how they destroy our history, but they destroy our access to power. They will destroy our ability to what they believe is our ability to organize, right? But we have seen over and over and over again that Black folks can come together, can support our institutions, you know, by ourselves, right? We've been able to over and over and over again show the power, the strength, the resilience necessary to push back in a very successful manner. And so, regardless of how many books Black authors they ban, regardless of how many data sets they delete, like they erase, Black excellence is unerasable.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Well, Roland Martin Unfiltered will be right back here on the Black Star Network.
Afrotech, it's a lot of beauty, a lot of brilliance, a lot of intellect, a lot of innovation.
Companies that are most diverse are more profitable.
We're getting culture, we're getting community, we're getting the best of the best. And not only are we here to greet each other, but we're here to network and to elevate each other.
Everybody from all the major tech companies here, and that means that now everybody's in the same domain.
This is the premier event every year. This is really where we could take off. You can go fast by yourself, but we go farther together.
This is where you're supposed to be.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. Why the America we live in today is not what the founders intended or what they outlined in the Declaration of Independence and even the Constitution. Professor and author Kermit Roosevelt will join us to talk about his book, The Nation That Never Was. How history was misinterpreted, the intent and realities of America's beginnings, and missed a much better story in the process.
So if you have to pick some group to marginalize, I think it should be the people who are against equality.
That's next on the Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Lavelle Crawford. I ain't wearing a bow tie today because I wanted to breathe. And you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Welcome back. I want to thank Ms. Osa for joining us and for explaining the research about blackout, the real-world cost of erasing, distorting, and suppressing Black progress. I want to continue talking with the panel about what this report shows. Michael, if you don't mind, what kind of long-term harm does this create when accurate data about Black communities disappears?
All right, and I'm gonna have to get Isosa on the African History Network show as well to dig deep into this. But this is devastating. Now, the work that I do, I have been warning African Americans specifically about Project 2025 going back to 2023, and these attacks that she enumerated here are laid out in Project 2025. So when we talk about the attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion, a lot of times African Americans will retort with a article from Black Enterprise magazine saying that African Americans only got 4% of the DEI jobs. But you don't understand how this impacts programs. Here on Roland Martin Unfiltered, we talked about there's a $37 billion minority program for business owners, and how African Americans were getting even a small part of that, but that's been wiped out. When we look at this, we saw the Environmental Protection Agency cut out $1.7 billion in grants. Many of those grants were benefiting the African American community, dealing with climate change, things of this nature. They keep using DEI as the reason to eliminate these grants. They say that they're discriminating against white people, but no court has ruled that DEI is illegal. So, but this, one of the excuses that they say is that it doesn't fall in line with the Trump administration, right? We saw that on day one in office, after Donald Trump got a Negro preacher from Detroit, right, to mangle Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" speech. Donald Trump revoked Executive Order 13985, I think it was. And this was from Biden-Harris, which laid the foundation for equity in the federal government in the Biden-Harris administration, right? So we see a total reversal of these programs. And another thing that they use is the Supreme Court ruling from 2023 that dealt with affirmative action in college admissions, okay? So on Donald Trump's second day in office, he revokes Executive Order 11246, which was affirmative action signed into law by President Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1965. As racist as Ronald Reagan was, he didn't revoke that executive order, but Donald Trump did it his second day in office. So as Nicole Hannah-Jones, who spearheaded the 1619 Project, she wrote a in-depth piece for the New York Times back in June 2025 called "How Trump Upended 60 Years of Civil Rights in 2 Months." They basically wiped out 60 years of civil rights progress as well as social justice progress, right, in the past few months. But all this is laid out in Project 2025. So one of the things that we have to do is have a deep dive into how is it that they put this 922-page document in print, sold it, disseminated it, but so many African Americans were dumbfounded and caught flat-footed. We have what a lot of people don't understand is that the Heritage Foundation has been putting out their policy playbook called Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, for over 40 years, going back to 1981 during the first Reagan administration. And they put it out each election cycle. Project 2025 was the latest version of Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. You have to understand how long these people have been planning something like this. And going back to the previous segment, when Dr. Greg Carr was talking about expanding presidential powers, that's the Unitarian executive theory that Russell Vought expounds on and pushes. And Russell Vought is the architect of Project 2025. He served as the ombudsman in the first Trump administration. All this stuff was planned. So when we have Black social media disinformation agents lying to our people, when we have all these Black people walking around with a smartphone but dumber than ever, we have to do a deep analysis on how the hell did they play in our face, lie to us, say Trump didn't know anything about it, and 48% of Project 2025 has been put in place in the past 9 months based upon the Project 2025 tracker.
Dr. Carr?
I mean, everything Mike said tracks. I mean, it's an interesting line in the Onyx report. And of course, as we know here, this is the second major report that Isosa and her team have put together. One was on disinformation, which we should have been paying a whole lot more attention to, given the fact that we ended up with this guy back in the White House. But they write in the report, this is not a culture war. It's a disinformation-fueled power grab. If allowed to continue unchecked, it threatens every American's access to the truth today and to equitable possibilities in the future. What they really are trying to do is displace the concept of truth and facts. And once you do that, all bets are off. I mean, this is the constant lies. I stopped 7 wars or 8 wars. You're doing bad. The tariffs are big money. This is our money we're talking about. So what it is a power grab to capture the state. They don't want to destroy the state. They want to run it. Take our tax monies away from us, give it to who they want, their billionaire friends mostly, and then when we want to do something for ourselves, remember the sisters in the Fearless Fund? The Fearless Fund was giving out money, they went to court, sued them, they settled before they could finish. This is where I would say we have to move in this way. As we were talking with her, we got to support our institutions. These companies aren't advertising with the Black Star Network. We support the Black Star Network. We continue to fight that truth. Larry Ellison and them trying to buy Warner, trying to buy CNN, and trying to buy HBO, making an overture with Alphabet and Google through buying social media. Guess what? TikTok. That's all right. We have institutions. We can fund our institutions. We got to fight them over this battle for truth, because if they get rid of the concept of truth, and that's what they're doing right now, remember, all bets are off for everybody in this country.
Matt, do you have any advice for people and organizations who would like to take legal action?
Yes, an interesting question. So let me first say that I'm so glad Doc mentioned about truth and the loss of truth, because that's been one of my big concerns with AI. And I think that AI and just our general loss of understanding and what is truthful and what is not is just going to be exacerbated as we go forward. So one of the things I would say outside of the legal realm is just be discerning, critically, think critically about what you're seeing and whether that information actually tracks, and vet it. And I guess to that second, your actual question, I don't know. I don't know first what the Supreme Court's going to do, because the Supreme Court is just rubber stamping everything we see come out of the White House these days, and that's extremely problematic, right? And I say, if you were to bring an equal protection claim or some claim predicated on the idea that people in certain communities that are non-white have the same access to government funds, like Dr. Carr said, that's our money, right? Our money that should be going to asthma programs or sickle cell programs, and especially sickle cell, because as the Onyx report indicated, 90% of the people affected by the loss of money are Black people. So that is functionally taking away money from Black people as a discrete group, right? And if you compared that to maybe Jewish people or people that carry other genes that are highly prevalent in their particular ethnic group, if those maladies, like the BRCA gene, for instance, are funded fully, then you might have a 14th Amendment claim where you say, as a Black person with sickle cell, I'm being divested of my opportunity to seek government funds that affect my, ability to be healthy. I think there's going to obviously be a lot of different permutations, but I can envision it that way, because what it comes down to is we should be able to be fully present and fully active in the society and take benefit of all the things that are supposed to be there for us to avail ourselves of. And if this government is actively, taking away money from Black people and programs that not only environmentally and incidentally affect Black people, but like sickle cell, affect us 90%, then that is proof positive that they're intending to give us a different ability to participate as citizens than other groups of people. And I think there may be a legal basis there, but that's all predicated on the federal appellate courts, the Supreme Court doing the right thing and finding that this is discriminatory. And I don't know that we can trust them these days to do that.
Well, Matt and Michael, Dr. Carr, thank you so much for your conversation. Listen, we need your support to continue doing the work that we're doing here on Roland Martin Unfiltered, sharing news that impacts Black America. You can send in your donation via Cash App using the QR code that we have. We will get that on the screen. There it is right there. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is R Martin Unfiltered. If you use Zelle, send Roland a gift to roland@rolandsmartin.com. Make checks and money orders payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037 0196.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
You will not
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
What's up, everybody? It's Godfrey, the funniest dude on the planet. And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Well, Mississippi officials decide a UK company can release more emissions into the air. Many people in the hospitality state are calling this another example of environmental injustice. Crystal Martin from the Greater Greener Gloster Project will join us today, and she's telling us more about what she has found out there. On Wednesday, the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality reversed its earlier decision and approve UK-based Drax request to request an increase emissions at its wood pellet plant in Gloster, Mississippi. It's located about 112 miles west of Hattiesburg. Well, people there in Gloster have long voiced concerns that allowing the wood plant to increase emissions would lead to higher levels of toxic emissions and greater health risks. The company has a documented history of environmental violations, and just 6 months ago, the MDEQ permit board took the rare step of denying the company's request to expand pollution levels. After Wednesday's decision, a group of Gloster residents have filed a federal lawsuit against Drax Biomass and its subsidiaries. The lawsuit alleges that the company's Amite Bioenergy wood pellet facility has for nearly a decade unlawfully released massive amounts of toxic pollutants into its community, violating the Federal Clean Air Act and Mississippi law. Crystal Martin from the Greater Greener Gloster Project joins us right now here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Crystal, we want to welcome you back to the show. For those who do not know, can you start by explaining what exactly Drax does and what this plant in Gloster produces?
Yeah, so Drax, they manufacture what's called wood pellets. These wood pellets are being manufactured in the U.S. South. They're only manufactured in the U.S. South. The wood pellets are manufactured here, and then they are shipped back to the U.K., where they use them as what they call a renewable source of energy, right? They use them for electricity. It's the manufacturing process that's harmful to health. It's harmful to our environment.
And tell us, what does it mean that Mississippi officials have now approved Drax's request to increase emissions?
Wow, that's unheard of. 6 months ago, we were there with MDEQ. They made the decision to deny the permit, and we're trying to figure out what happened. Did something drastic happen 6 months down the road that made them reverse their decision? I've been sharing with my community, one of the things that I've seen is Drax has definitely done a PR marketing stunt, and they've been making sure that they announce how much money they invested into the state of Mississippi. Like every day on social media, they have been announcing the amount of money they put into the state, the amount of money they put into Amite County, the amount of money that they've invested into, well, they say they invested into 20 nonprofits right in Gloster, Mississippi. And so to me, it's been a way to say, like it's a tactic they've been using to say we've already bought this decision.
And tell us, do you know exactly what they're being allowed to release more of?
So we have VOCs, particulate matter, PM 2.5. There's formaldehyde, acrolein, methanol, different hazardous air pollutants. And those hazardous air pollutants are causing harm to our health. A lot of breathing issues, upper respiratory issues. People in our community have died from lung cancer. People are living with type 3 lung disease, black lungs. So these hazardous pollutants are causing a lot of health concerns.
Yes, ma'am. How did your organization, the Greater Greener Gloster Project, first get involved with this issue?
We got involved years ago when we first saw that Drax was fined $2.5 million for emitting hazardous air pollution. As a result, there were a number of people in the community who were complaining about upper respiratory issues. We started with my mom being admitted to the hospital on multiple occasions for breathing issues. And she was wondering, could this be the reason why she was in and out of the hospital? So we just started to connect the dots and do research. We started meeting with the EPA Region 4, being educated on what was happening in our community. They were teaching us about the VOCs and the PM 2.5. They taught us a lot about the hazardous air pollutants. And we learned how those different pollutants were causing dizziness, nosebleeds, upper respiratory issues. So again, we just started connecting the dots, and from one conversation to the next conversation, we started to organize. We wanted to ask questions. We wanted to educate our community. And we wanted people to really make the best informed decision about what was happening to them. There's one family in the community where 4 people died within a matter of 3 or 4 months. That's not normal. And when you're in a small community and the conversation every day is about who has COPD and who's taking nebulizers and who's having asthma, you know, whose child is on a breathing machine, those conversations to me are not normal. And so we knew we needed to organize. We needed to make sure our community was aware of what's going on, and here we are today.
Let's bring in our panel. Again, Matt, Michael, Dr. Carr. Dr. Carr, let's start with you. What comes to your mind when you hear about folks in Mississippi being sick by these pollutants released in the air?
Well, it seems like same old story. Louisiana, Cancer Alley. We think about the work of Robert Bullard out of Texas Southern, environmental racism. This is what they do. And of course, now you combine that with capitalism, hard capitalism, make this money. You see the conflict. Dr. Martin and I've been sitting here enjoying this conversation between 2 SWAC sisters. I understand you are a 3-time graduate of Jackson State University. Not that you're going to hold that against her. Look, this is an Alcorn sister. Amen. Talking to you right now. Anyway, holding it down tonight. But
Amen.
This is what I'm saying. Y'all Mississippi, I'm loving this conversation because it does speak to this thing. We're so familiar with this. This is what happens to us. But I ask you, Dr. Martin, this question. Looking at the things you all are seeking in court, and I don't know the whole bench of the Southern District of Mississippi, but I think there are a couple of black folk who are going to be who sit on that court. Hopefully you'll get favorable judges. One of the things was compensate residents for property damages and fund remediation efforts. Could you talk a little bit more about that? And also maybe about the fact that in a town with less than 1,000 people, are some of these people employed by the company, and are they trying to use that as a point of entry to kind of create a wedge in the community? Thank you.
So, when you think about the property damage, we have daily dust in our community. I went into a meeting not too long ago, and there was a resident, a Caucasian resident, and she talked about she had to replace her roof because she had been incurring so much dust. But on top of dust all over the community, it's inside the people's homes, right? There, we also are seeing flooding from the holding ponds that's flooding one fence line community. And so for us, that's a nuisance. That's a problem. And if, you have to find whatever ways you can to attack this industry. And so if they are causing the people in the community to have to do upgrades to their homes, then that's property damage.
Yes, ma'am.
It lowers your property rate. Going back, thinking about the people who are employed, I've spoken to a number of people who used to work in that facility, and I was told they were hired through the temp agency.
Wow.
So how do you come to our community, a community of 80%, almost 80% Black people, and all you can offer us is an opportunity in that industry through the temp agency? That's a problem. Because they came to the community, promising good jobs, good paying jobs, but it's not a good paying job anytime you go through the temp agency and they take half of the money. On top of that, what about leadership opportunities in the industry? I would love to know if people who look like me have leadership opportunities in that industry.
Yes.
And I think they don't.
Thank you.
And another thing I can share, I think we saw this on their website. They employ about 60, maybe 70 employees, and about 10% come from Gloster.
Wow.
That's a problem.
Matt, when you hear this, how can residents in this community respond? Is there any legal action they could take?
Well, I was actually going to ask Dr. Martin that, because I know you said that there was a lawsuit. So is it a Title VI claim, or what are the basis of the claim? Having not read it, I'm not sure exactly how y'all brought it, but I know locally we've brought a Title VI claim, with HUD for some of the similar issues. And then the second question I wanted to ask you is a pretty basic one. I saw their press release, and it indicated that MDEQ reversed course, and it lauded the local Gloster leaders and all of that. So put simply, did they buy out local people and give them money and say, get on board, and that's why MDEQ reversed course? Because I suspect that's what it was, but I'd love to learn more about that if you would.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. It seems like our local government sold us out. Because when we showed up to that hearing, there was so much division in that hearing. You can see on one side of the room, there were the residents from Gloster. On the other side of the room, I would assume those were the contractors. So one side of the room was majority Black. It was all Black, The other side of the room, there were all white men. There was the mayor sitting on the front row. And I think one day I looked up and saw the one of the town aldermen. And what was disheartening in all of that is when they made the announcement to reverse the decision, and it was no surprise to us. We kind of knew they were going to reverse that decision. But the mayor and, his cronies, they rejoiced. They rejoiced in that decision. The people who elected the mayor, maybe his first time in office, were there, in the overflow. They were in the room, they were in the overflow. People felt some kind of way. That was hurtful. It's okay to be, have a difference in opinion in the matter, but to rejoice and celebrate, and people are losing their lives. Young children are crying, having, waking up at night, can't breathe. And this is not a matter to celebrate. I spent nearly 30 years working in higher education. My grandchildren live in Hoover, Alabama. But my heart is compassionate for the people in Gloster. And so I left my career to help my community. I heard the Lord say you have to go back to the land where your ancestors are buried. And you have to help the people. And so I'm there to help the people. I'm not fighting the local government. I'm fighting this issue against this big industry that's from the UK, that's in my community. My mother is ill, right? My neighbors are ill. My family members are ill. People are sick and suffering. And too many people have the same issue. So we are here to fight the industry. We are not trying to fight the local government. Today, somebody shared a clip, and the mayor said that the people are overweight. They smoke tobacco, and that's why they're sick.
But really, Michael, this connects to a larger environmental justice fight really all across the South. This is not just happening in this one part of Mississippi, correct?
Right. Yeah. This happens in communities with high African American populations all across the country. Dr. Greg Carr a few minutes ago mentioned Cancer Alley down in Louisiana, because we've talked about that here on this show before. But the question that I had for Dr. Martin is the Dogwood Alliance reported, the organization, the Dogwood Alliance, reported that Drax has already paid about $3 million in state fines for emissions violations. So do you know anything about that? And if so, over what period of time were these violations that these fines that they paid? And if that's the case, then what justification is the state using to allow them to increase emissions when they've already been fines? They've shown a pattern of violating state standards when it comes to emissions. Okay, and then just a quick follow-up to that. Has anybody asked the mayor? You said the mayor, who's African American, was elated and jumping for joy when this was granted to them. Has anybody asked him, what are you so happy about?
You know, somebody did tell me they sent him a text message, and so maybe they asked what was he happy about. I have not asked that question. But I wanna go back to you talking about Cancer Alley. We discovered about 5 or 6 years ago the $2.5 million fine. And again, that came out through an article in the local newspaper. And as we started to work with the EPA Region 4, we began to learn more that there were more violations. So before there was a $2.5 million fine, there was also a $100,000 fine. And then most recently in like 2023, there was a $225,000 fine. Now, there are a whole lot of violations. Not all of them resulted in a fine. Some were for, emissions. They didn't report they didn't get their paperwork or whatever completed on time. So they have a number of violations, right? And as far back as I can tell, these violations started to occur maybe 1 to 2 years after operations. Now, as we work closely with the EPA, you talk about Cancer Alley. Do you know what they shared with us? When we logged into the EJ screening tool, we learned that Gloster is the new Cancer Alley. Jesus.
Wow.
We just happen to be a rural community in Mississippi, right? We're not in mainstream media. People are not talking about our issue, but we're the new Cancer Alley.
Well, we're talking about it, and I want you to let me know
exactly
what's next for the Greater Greener Gloster Project, and what can we do to support you?
What's next is, we let Drax know we were not done fighting. We're going to continue to work with our attorneys. We were represented by Earth Justice, Mississippi Center for Justice, and ACLU. And they represented us on the permit side. But we also filed a lawsuit 2 days ago with being represented by Singleton and Shriver. And we're also working with attorney Ben Crump and the environmental law group Greg Cade out of Birmingham, Alabama. So there are more lawsuits being filed. And how you can help us, if you can show up to Gloster. We need people to show up in Gloster and help tell the story, to interview the residents, talk to the residents, let them tell their story.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Martin, thank you so much for sharing some of their story. And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. We'll see you after the break.
Afrotech, it's a lot of beauty, a lot of brilliance, a lot of intellect, a lot of innovation.
Companies that are most diverse are more profitable.
We're getting culture, we're getting community, we're getting the best of the best. And not only are we here to greet each other, but we're here to network and to elevate each other.
Everybody from all the major tech companies here, and that means that now everybody's in the same domain.
This is the premier event every year. This is really where we could take off. You can go fast by yourself, but we go farther together.
This is where you're supposed to be.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Calk. Why the America we live in today is not what the founders intended or what they outlined in the Declaration of Independence and even the Constitution. Professor and author Kermit Roosevelt will join us to talk about his book, The Nation That Never Was. How history was misinterpreted, the intent and realities of America's beginnings, and missed a much better story in the process.
So if you have to pick some group to marginalize, I think it should be the people who are against equality.
That's next on the Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Tasha Cobbs, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. But I need a little filter. I need something. Blow me out. Make me look 35.
Welcome back. Philanthropists are using their legacies to inspire change for Black colleges all across the nation. Mackenzie Scott has gifted $63 million to Baltimore's Morgan State University. This marks the second major donation Scott has made to Morgan State in less than 5 years, bringing her total contributions to the university to $103 million. Morgan State says the $63 million gift will strengthen the university's endowment, expand support for student success, and advance initiatives that reinforce Morgan's role as an anchor institution in Baltimore. Well, author Blank, renowned entrepreneur and co-founder of the Home Depot, well, he's announced a $50 million donation through the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation to Atlanta's historically Black colleges and universities. The money will provide GAP scholarships to nearly 10,000 students who are in good academic standing and nearing graduation, but have exhausted all other sources of financial support. Well, the initiative aims to boost graduation rates. Also, a West Virginia pastor associated with the MAGA movement is facing serious charges of sexual crimes against minors. Kevin Jones, 33-year-old pastor at Summit Church in Elkins, appeared in court on charges of soliciting minor and distributing materials depicting minors in sexually explicit activities. Well, investigators discovered that more than 1 million digital files on Jones's devices, including altered images of alleged victims, following his arrest on October 2nd. Well, a judge denied his attorney's motions to dismiss the case and to reduce his cash-only bond of $50,000. Jones remains in jail as prosecutors continue to review evidence for an indictment. We still have our panel here with us. Matt is still listening. Can you weigh in on what you just heard about the West Virginia pastor associated with the sexual crimes against minors?
Well, that's an abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent accusation. I am really surprised that his bond is only $50,000. That sounds very low. I'm not sure whether these are state charges or federal charges, but that seems to me to be uncommonly low, particularly with 1 million alleged images of such conduct. That's like an extraordinary amount, a lot more than I've heard in similar cases that I've dealt with as a prosecutor. So, it's very surprising to me that it's a $50,000 bond. But I think what's interesting about this situation that I understand is that this was a big supporter of Charlie Kirk, or a person who spoke pretty full-throatedly about Charlie Kirk and his legacy. And, this is unfortunately for people who are supporters of Mr. Kirk and that ilk, this is proof positive that obviously a lot of people in that group of people are not good people. And as they go around saying that the Democrats and the left and all these people are so, immoral and horrible, you got to sweep around your own front door, as they say. So this is a horrible situation. But if these accusations are true, I hope he's buried under the jail, because this is the kind of thing we as a society absolutely have to apply the harshest punishments to.
Michael, I was watching you. I saw you kind of responding. How are you feeling right now?
Oh, well, with Matt saying he followed Charlie Kirk, that doesn't surprise me. Just seeing that this took place in West Virginia, Donald Trump won West Virginia overwhelmingly in 2024, as well as even 2020, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, this is, hopefully he gets the book thrown at him if he's guilty. Crimes like this are inexcusable. But also, you're going to hear more. Just when you look at the what Politico exposed, dealing with the racist rants from the young Republicans, the white nationalists in training, and the things that they were saying in there about some of them, wanting to rape people and torture and things of this nature. You have some sick people out here hiding behind Christianity or white Christian nationalism, however you want to put it.
We hear you. In other news, a federal judge has ordered immigration officers in the Chicago area to begin wearing body cameras after startling footage revealed agents clashing with protesters and using tear gas during President Trump's immigration enforcement actions. Judge Sarah Ellis, concerned about officers disregarding previous court orders, stated that she is not blind to the images of aggressive enforcement tactics occurring in her own city. This ruling comes as activists intensify their efforts to monitor immigration and customs enforcement, with more than 1,000 immigrants arrested since September. Well, the judge's order also prohibits the use of tear gas and certain riot tactics against peaceful demonstrators and journalists amid ongoing tension surrounding immigration in Chicago. Matt, what is it that we can do about this?
Well, I think this is a great ruling by the judge. It's a surprising thing. A lot of people may not know this, but I don't think federal law enforcement officers are mandated to wear body cams. And I know that because I have a case I just tried in June where if it wasn't for the local police officer having a body cam, we never would have had the footage of what happened to my client. So I'm glad that this court is requiring this, because in this day and age, it is so important for us to bear witness in every medium possible, particularly with video, right? We're seeing around the country what these ICE agents are doing, masked, how they're running up on people, how they're, violating their rights and throwing them to the ground and otherwise brutalizing them. There absolutely needs to be recordings of that, and I'm glad that this judge is requiring it. I am surprised that Congress hasn't passed anything before this, or, some other rule hasn't come about that's required this, because this, in my opinion, has been a long time coming. So I'm glad that she required this of the ICE agents there in the Chicagoland area.
Dr. Carr, what are your thoughts? How do we continue moving forward?
Well, that's a good question. They've been ignoring Judge Ellis's orders before. That's one of the reasons she came down again today. And to the less than men, particularly the American Negro that jumped out the car and put the full weight of his old knee in the back of that sister that we just saw. Winter is coming, my friend. It could be legal, it could be moral, but one way you're going to pay the bill for this, and you don't have immunity. Donald Trump may, thanks to John Roberts, but you don't. I think we have to move forward by doing exactly what we just saw. Police camera footage, sometimes they release it, sometimes they don't. Citizen camera footage, however, is why we're having this conversation. And we're able to talk about this in part because some brave soul pushed record on his or her cell phone and we saw the footage for ourselves. Chicago, these punks, these less than men and women who have been signing up to do this, we see them smashing cars in the streets. We see them running into cars and jumping out. But guess what? We see them. So police body camera, I agree with Matt. Do it. Got to do it. But let's not rely on that. When you see something going down, you whip out your camera. Because all of this is evidence for when the administrations change, when the government changes, and when you boys and girls going to get brought up on charges. And we're going to have this evidence because we took it, not the police.
And Michael, what are your thoughts surrounding this? How does history impact our decisions now, and how do we use that to make decisions in the future?
Well, I think this is a good ruling. Yes, they need to wear body cameras and have them actually recording. Yes, we need to keep recording as well. But also, you know, as I've talked about here on the show, and we have the No Kings rally coming up this weekend. This has to be backed up by targeted, sustained economic withdrawal strategies as well. You know, Dr. King taught us that we have to always anchor our external direct action with the power of economic withdrawal. So there has to be a concerted effort to target those corporations that help finance Republicans and put them in power, help finance Donald Trump. Two of them are Core Civic and Geo Group, two of the largest owner-operators of privatized prisons in the country that donated to Trump's campaign back in 2016. They donated to him as well as 2024, and they have lucrative contracts to house the migrants who are being arrested by ICE right now. Okay, so the same privatized prison companies that African Americans protested against are some of the same ones that have contracts to house these migrants today. So we have to understand that this all comes together, the mass protests, but also the targeted, sustained economic withdrawal strategies as well.
Michael, thank you. Matt and Dr. Carr, we appreciate your thoughts. And Roland Martin Unfiltered will be right back here on the Black Star Network.
Said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Book bans, anti-intellectualism, and Trump's continued war on wisdom.
This is a coordinated backlash to progress. At the end of the day, conservatives realized that they couldn't win a debate on facts. They started using our language against us, right? Remember when we were all woke and the woke movement and all that kind of stuff? Now everything is anti-woke, right? When we were talking about including diversity, equity, inclusion, in higher education, now it's anti-DEI. All this are efforts to suppress the truth because truth empowers people.
You're watching The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, this is Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. That boy, he always unfiltered though. I ain't never known him to be filtered. Is there another way to experience Roland Martin than to be unfiltered? Of course he's unfiltered. Would you expect anything less? Watch what happens next.
All right, Wake Forest University will name a residence hall in honor of Larry and Beth Hopkins, two trailblazing alumni with deep ties to both the university and the Winston-Salem community. Beth Hopkins has built a decades-long career in law, education, and community outreach. She also made history as one of the first two Black female residential students at Wake Forest. Her late husband, Dr. Larry Hopkins, was a standout football player for the Demon Deacons and a respected physician who dedicated his career to improving access and outcomes in women's and neonatal health. Naming a building on campus, particularly a residence hall, is one of the highest honors that the university can bestow. And joining us right now is Wake Forest alumna Beth Hopkins. Beth, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
Yes, ma'am. How did it feel when you found out that Wake Forest was naming a residence hall in your and your husband's honor?
I shared with my friends that I received a call early in the day that the president of the university needed to speak to me. And I said, oh my goodness, what have I said now? Because I'm from the say something generation and I'm always accused of saying something. So when she called the president and said that they were naming a residence hall after my husband and me, I was totally speechless. And the tears just flowed because it was so unexpected.
That's beautiful. Tell us more about that. What does this recognition mean to you and your family?
Well, it means a whole lot to my family and also to the students who were in school with me, because even though Larry's and my names are at the top of the building, it really represents people who came before us and made the sacrifice, people who came before us and laid the foundation. And collectively, the students and I made a change at Wake Forest for the greater good. And I am just pleased to be part of a group of say something generation people who had courage and weren't afraid of the consequences. Because, you know, at that time, we thought that we were revolutionaries. You know, we had the afros that were 3 feet high. We had more hair in our head than we had fabric wrapped around our legs. And we had a great time at Wake Forest, just being together and sharing our experiences together. And we are together 50 years later, 55 years later, actually, as a group. The two of us, Deborah Graves McFarland and I, were the first two. And then Linda Holliday and Awilda Gillum Neal joined us a second semester.
Could you tell us more about what that experience was like for you back then?
Well, during that time, we experienced a lot of trauma, as did other Black students at majority European descent universities. But what got us through was each other. We were a united, close group, and we remain a close group. There were less than 20 of us on the campus in the early 70s, and we had a lounge called the Afro-American Lounge. And there we would go in the evenings and talk about issues that involved or affected all of us. And we would resolve those issues, and we were not always in agreement. Sometimes there were very vigorous arguments, because there were those of us who wanted to march, who wanted to protest, who wanted to shout, and there were those who were more deliberate, like my husband and the chairman of our group, who was very deliberate and soft-spoken. And together, we would come to some resolution. Once we opened that door of the Afro-American Lounge, we were solid. Nobody knew that we had had the vigorous arguments that we had had. We represented a united front, and that's how we were able to get through Wake Forest.
Let's go ahead and bring the panel in now, and let's discuss this. Dr. Carr, you work on a college campus right now. Talk about the honor that this is.
Well, I mean, like you, and thank you for asking those questions about context, because, you know, and thank you, Professor Hopkins, because you all not just pioneers in many ways, almost like mythological creatures. Do I have it right that you were an Asian studies major when you were in school?
Yes, Hindi was my foreign language.
Okay, because the idea that coming out of those black schools, both of us graduated HBCUs, and being that first kind of tip of the spear group to move in that space, I guess I'm curious as to, and I guess I understand also you were the first black homecoming queen. So in other words, what is it about Wake Forest and then by extension these white schools that y'all were trying to accomplish? And then you come back and we understand that you spent a career at the law school teaching law after you went and got your JD. What does it mean to have a black presence at the time you all were doing what you did? What does it mean now? Maybe what has changed and what do you hope to see in the future? Because again, y'all are not educating a whole lot more than just black folk.
Well, we were change makers, and we had no fear. That was our ability to adapt and adjust. And I'll tell you, I was actually on my way to Reed College before I committed to Wake Forest. And two very dear friends of mine, one from Richmond, a childhood friend, and another Wake Forest student came to my house in June before the fall in which I enrolled and said, Beth, there are less than 15 black male students on campus. There are no black women who live on campus. And Wake Forest is actively recruiting women who can compete academically. And so we were affirmative action recruits, but we were academically prepared. And let me say right here that one of the things we had to fight was faculty resentment about us being there. For some reason, they thought that teachers would send us to any school that would cause us to fail. Failure was not an option for us. We were all, again, united in sharing information about professors and who could give you a fair shake and who would not. Now, my parents are HBCU graduates. They attended and graduated from Virginia Union University in Richmond, Virginia. And so I was on my way to Reed College. These two buddies of mine come by and say, look, you need to come to Wake Forest. And I thought about that and I said, oh, snap. Reed College doesn't have a football team. I'm going to Wake Forest. And so that's really the story of how I matriculated to Wake Forest. I didn't get into the school until July before my fall year because, as I said, I was on my way to Oregon to go to school. Wow. But in terms of what that means, it means that we always have been change makers. We are always fighting for the greater good. And that fight cannot stop. We have to keep going. In spite of what's happening nationally or globally, we have to remain hopeful. Because I think it was Victor Hugo who said something about hope being written on the brow of every person. And that's what we have to continue to remember and stop complaining. Let's get it together and let's go forward. That's what being on a historically white campus means to me, that we're there. We fought for being there. We knew that we were supposed to be there. We knew that we were supposed to exact change.
And Professor Hopkins, your story is so inspiring. Michael, what type of notes can we take away from her?
Perseverance, understanding, the civil rights movement, and the what she's saying kind of reminds me of the Cosby Show, where you had Cliff and Claire, who were from that civil rights generation, and they were trailblazers, and then the children were kind of a disappointment. They didn't have that same fire and desire. But the quick question I had was, how did you go from the Asian studies major to going to law school? How did that happen?
Well, okay, that's a very, very good. I actually decided at 12 years old that I wanted to go to law school. Wow. And I was actually interested in diplomacy. And I thought that being a lawyer and being able to serve were in syntax with one another, and being in the diplomatic corps, I thought also that was an opportunity to serve more globally. But in the meantime, I got married. I got married my senior year, December of my senior year. Wow. And my dad was not a very happy camper. He thought that I was not going to finish school, and I said, no way. But see, I was involved in civil rights because my parents were involved in civil rights. They laid the foundation. They were the role models for us. So at 12 years old, I was marching on the Holiday Inns, the Dairy Queens, the libraries. We couldn't even go to a library in Petersburg, Virginia. And of course, there were no tennis courts we could play on, and no swimming pools. And thank goodness there was Virginia State College at that time that had tennis courts and a swimming pool for us to learn how to swim. So it was just a struggle being in Petersburg. And I wasn't going to let anything stop me from becoming a lawyer. And I don't know if you know the story that when I finished Wake Forest with honors, I applied to only one school. I was just that, I wanted to say I was arrogant because I knew I had worked hard, I'd accomplished a lot. I knew the school was going to accept me, Wake Forest's law school. Well, guess what? The school said, no, you can't come here. And I was a little immature. I was mad with God because I told him, I said, look, you know that I wanted to be a lawyer ever since I was 12 years old. What's going on here? But see, what that taught me is that you have to submit to the plan, that there's a greater plan for you. And you have to be mature enough to understand that there's a higher authority that's guiding your path. So the very next year, I applied to William & Mary, went back to my home state, and took the bar exam February of my third year, because at that time, Virginia allowed you to do that. Passed the bar, and in May, I had a job with a civil rights law firm in Richmond. And I had the beautiful opportunity to work with Oliver Hill, who was a civil rights icon, and one of the lawyers on Brown versus Board of Education. Now, had I gone to Wake Forest's law school, I would not have had that opportunity. And also, Justice Thurgood Marshall was Oliver Hill's law school roommate. So I had an opportunity to meet Justice Marshall. So there was the grand plan right there, and the rest, is historical.
Brittany, do you mind? I just got to ask. When you worked with Oliver Hill, so that means that you knew Spotswood Robinson. These are the legends. These are the legends. So the only question I just want to ask you a quick question, Prof. I know you wrote that chapter in the history of Wake Forest, and that's an important chapter. But we got to know, when is the memoir coming out? Because, see, this is a story we need. You worked with Oliver Hill. Come on. We need that,
Yes. Yes. I mean, you can't even imagine what it's like working with an icon. No question. He was so brilliant. He was so invested in the community, and he loved the law. And the stories he used to tell, especially the Farmville one, because the Prince Edward County case is the case that he connected to Brown versus Board of Education.
Yes, ma'am.
And he told the story about how he was near the county working on retirement cases for Black teachers, because at that time, Black teachers' retirement incomes were not the same as people of European descent. And so he got this call from, as you know, Barbara Johns, the teenager who led the student strike against the Moton High Farmville School.
Yes, ma'am.
And she said, Mr. Hill, you got to come and see what we have to put up with every day. And Mr. Hill said, no, I really can't. I'm tied up with all these cases with the Black retirement teachers. I just don't have the time. She begged him. He went to Farmville, and he said that his heart was broken when he saw the condition of the schools. They had buckets to catch the water. They had parents chopping firewood so the kids wouldn't freeze during the wintertime. And that's when he decided to take on the case and bring the Farmville case to Brown versus Board. And as you know, following that case, Farmville schools shut down and didn't have any schools for Black children for about 5 years. They were called the Lost Generation.
Professor Hopkins, we do not want to let you go. No. We could listen to you speak for a lot longer, but we want to thank you for your time tonight, for being so open to share your story, and thank you for all the work that you've been doing on behalf of our community. I also want to.
I'm not tired yet.
Amen. We don't want you to be. I also want to thank the panel tonight for joining us. Matt Manning, Dr. Carr, and Michael Imhotep. I hope you guys have a great night. And when we come back, we'll show you highlights from the Chris Tucker Foundation Celebrity Golf Tournament. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're continuing our series of Putting in the Work, A Chef's Journey. Are you an aspiring chef? Someone who already has a business, trying to figure out what your next steps will be, who to talk to, and how to get there? Well, on this week's show, our great guests and wonderful chefs will talk to you about what it means to discover your purpose, your why of being in the kitchen, and then knowing how to put a business together.
The menu controls everything. The menu determines everything. But the business plan is where you have to go back to.
When you get into the business, at the end of the day, you know, social media and TV, all of that stuff is cool, but you still have to run a business. You still have to be in relationship with people.
That's all next on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
Now that Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint, hey, Cyrus, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood show and the Roland Martin show? Well, whatever show it's going to be, it's going to be good.
Now, if you know anything about Roland, you know he loves golf. Earlier this month, Roland attended the Chris Tucker Foundation Celebrity Golf Tournament in Stockbridge, Georgia. Here's the recap.
All right, y'all, so we out here at the Chris Tucker Celebrity Golf Classic. We're about to tee this thing up, about to have a good time. So we had Eagles landings, and so you see right here, gorgeous course, gorgeous day. We ready to do this thing. J.O., what's up, baby?
What up, bro? What's going on, baby?
Did you bring enough golf balls? Because, you know, left, right, water. You need but one?
Yeah.
1 times 12?
1 time, baby. Then I just pass after that one. When that one's
oh, that's it?
When that one's gone?
That one gone, that's it?
I ride it out.
The rest of you just caddying?
Uh-huh.
The rest of you just caddying?
That's right. I be hanging out, finding other people's balls and shit.
For me, man, to see all the people who participate who I don't know your name, I love you. Thank you. Roland, I love you, man. You teach us what's going on. Give it up for Roland Martin. That's a smart black man right there. I wish he was in school with me. I'd have cheated over his Oh, man, I appreciate y'all.
Come on now.
That's
how Alpha roll.
Yeah.
That's how Alpha roll.
We could have been in. Give it up for Martin III.
Now we know who caddying. We know who caddying.
Ticker Woods outside.
We know who caddying. Hold up. Look at them shoes. He caddying. Come on.
I don't know the word.
Hey y'all, I got Ryan with me.
Come on, Cedric got me on that. Cedric got me on there with 2 million.
I want you to go ahead and see this here, baby. I want you to go ahead and see what greatness looks like. Oh, hold on. Now, hold on. Now, see, you got black and gold on, right colors. See, you got, hold on.
All right.
See, we got that too. So just want to let you know. What is that? What is that? Come on, man.
My rich friends are here.
You need to get your tattoo money back. You need to get your money back.
Hey, shout out to the news. Shout out to Roland Martin, one of my dear friends, regardless of whatever choice he made, but you still my guy.
But remember, in the presence of Alpha, always kiss the ring.
Man, go on with it.
Kiss the ring right there. Hold up, actually, I wore 2 for you today.
I ain't wearing neither one of mine. I got 2.
They're a little small.
Hall of Fame, baby. Hall of Fame.
I know, I'm in 4 of them.
Well, I'm in.
I'm an Alpha.
Well, I'm a Kappa. So,
I know.
Don't be trying to make this no content.
And remember, without Alpha, y'all Kappa Psi. Y'all need our name.
Always national step team champion. I keep telling them he stepped by himself.
Hold on. National Kappa step team champion.
National.
Hold on, that's Kappa. That wasn't like against everybody else.
Oh, come on.
Y'all can't touch us.
We won that one too.
No, y'all wouldn't have. Y'all drop canes.
No. I bop canes and I'm gone.
Oh, y'all slither. Y'all slither. Y'all slither.
I saw 2 people ride off.
Well, somebody got to give him a little help. Somebody got to do it.
What you say, buddy? I tore some erasers off these.
All right.
Good to see you, man.
Hold on, y'all on 6? Oh yeah, I'm gonna make sure people on 5. I'm gonna be hitting into them. we gonna be hitting into them.
I expect it.
All right, where Jeffrey Osborne go? Let me find J.O.
Card to your left to pull out. So the card's on the far right down here.
What's happening? How your game look? How your game looking?
I'm doing all right. You know what I had? Cataract surgery. Is that crazy? I ain't playing about too much.
You can't see.
Here we go.
Now
There's an excuse.
Now you can see?
Now I can see.
Oh, Sydney says it's
It's an excuse. That's an excuse.
I'm
He's
gonna be
fine.
No, he tried to get that money. That's all he trying to. See, that's a new one for me. I had cataract surgery.
I'm gonna be here.
Normally it's knee, hip, shoulder.
I'll be honest.
All right.
I can see now.
Oh, you can see now? Cataract and LASIK. You ready to do this?
Whole day, every day, and twice on Sunday.
Somebody got to do it.
What's up, baby?
I'm just chilling. What's going on?
My man Slow.
All right, good to meet you. You know, we're going to do a little something.
I hear you.
You know.
See, I've been on this man here since Jesus.
How you doing?
Good.
Y'all good?
I'm good.
All good.
Hey, we go back a ways, boy.
You know.
Hey.
Wait a minute. They got Bob Johnson out here. Oh, let me go talk about that Kappa. JY, come on, JY, baby, always. No, I'm actually in Dallas at the golf tournament. Yeah, I'm in Dallas at the golf tournament that day. All this white, you caddying?
I'm doing.
What you all this white look like he an Augusta caddy or something.
What's going on, man?
What's happening?
You know what they say. In Augusta,
look at him.
always be white and the caddies always be black.
Look at him. Look at him. Got the shoes, the socks. Oh, look at him.
I'm advertising for MJ now.
Yeah, I can tell. you got a branding deal.
What's up?
Look at him.
What's going on, man?
What's up, man?
You good? I'm real good, man.
I can't complain. Anybody gonna listen anyway.
Yeah, look like an MJ billboard.
You know what? Hey, look. We got to play it however we can play it.
I got his shoes on.
Yeah.
The only way you can do it. Yeah.
Hey, ain't no
Yep. You wearing the 23 as well?
Man, from head to toe.
Oh Lord.
Hey man, Grove 23. When they open back up, we right there.
You getting a check to wear it? I ain't wearing nothing for free. That ain't gonna happen.
What the pimpin' there say? I don't sing for free?
No, I ain't gonna do it. No. I ain't gonna be no billboard for free.
Well, then MJ, if you see me right now, get Roland Martin to check him and get him this gear. So
I concur.
Me too.
I concur. Because I wear Roland Martin unfiltered gear. I pay myself.
See, you a bad brother when you can get your own gear and sponsor yourself. Like you a bad brother.
That's how we do it.
This is how we do it. Yes, sir. Thanks for coming. Now, big brother Dominique. Yes.
Chris, say something for the video. For Nick.
Dominique is just the best. He's the legend icon, and he comes out and do things like this because he loves me. This is my big brother. He's been knowing me since I was a little boy. I'm about 16, but thank you, man. I love you, man. Thank you.
He just shot.
I know. I'm still young. Love you, man.
He just shot too many layups.
All right. Kim Reed, Kim Bernard, Ray Anthony. You want to go? Tomorrow. I love y'all. Love y'all, man. Have fun. Y'all going to lake? Lake. Okay. Lake. Come on, keep it moving. We got to keep it moving. Let Dominique go. He's married. Let him go. I can't wait to meet you, Love you, man. Love you too, brother.
Frankie and Beverly is made.
Stay home, my other brother. Love you, man. Have fun. I see y'all out there. All right. I see y'all. Love you, man. Love y'all.
Roll out. Yeah, get on that flyway signal.
Thanks for coming out. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate y'all, man. Yes, sir. There you go. I know, man. Don't work for that. Don't work for today. Good to see you. I'm doing great.
All right, Chris, I was at a golf tournament. Tell folks what the foundation does.
Man, we do everything, man. Best thing I ever done in my life. My mama told me to do this because I was traveling all over the world, all over Africa. She said, do your own foundation. You can help other people. And it's the best thing, man, to be here. All my friends coming out. You know who your friends are when you call on them and they come out. And not only this year, for years they've been coming out. So it's a blessing. And we do scholarships. We do homeless ministry with the church, through the church. And we put people in houses if they're homeless. We do everything. So I love it. I see something on the news, I'll do something. I say, let's do this, let's do that. So it's great.
And so somebody out there, they're not playing, but they want to support your foundation, where do they go?
They go to the ChrisTuckerFoundation.org, something like that. But it's easy to find,
And last question, I have video from the George Lopez golf tournament when you put a ball on the patio. Has the golf swing improved?
It's gotten better. They wanted me, I was supposed to play yesterday at the tour championship down in Eastlake, but I hurt my toe. Everybody know about that. So I had and I had to go to church. So, but I'm an excellent player. Excellent player.
So that's why you were not in the tour championship.
Enough questions. It's over with. All right. That's it.
All y'all folks who on time to join the crew, y'all might know this man. Remember the light-skinned versus dark-skinned people, the super soakers and everything? This is my man Lonnie. Man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Everything's going great. We're launching a couple of new companies. One, both based on my inventions. I invented a new engine that converts heat to electricity, and it'll operate on low-temperature heat. Our major investors in oil and gas company who decided that just 20% of the abandoned oil wells where they've gotten all the oil out, just the low temperature heat there could supply all the U.S. power needs. So we've got the technology that can do it, so we're excited about that. We invented a new battery that will allow electric vehicle to go 600 miles on a charge instead of 300, so we're going to double the range of electric vehicles. We're changing the game.
So what do you do at home? You sit around and just think of shit? You're like, let me just think
it's just about that
You're
bad.
Like, let me think of something else I need to do.
It's almost that bad, Roland.
I bet I got TV equipment all around my house. I bet you got wires and all kind of stuff all around the crib.
It's real. It's real. You don't get it, it's hard work. You don't get it by accident. You got to plan it, you got to execute, you got to apply yourself, and that's what makes the difference.
Well, what I tell my interns, and I said this is the biggest issue I have with today's generation, I said, you have to have the ability to think. You got to be able to sometimes sit down and just think.
And you got to get the knowledge.
Right.
You got to get the knowledge to base the thinking on. So what you put in your brain, you know, makes all the difference in the world.
Well, man, good seeing you. Keep doing it. We can't wait for that 600-mile battery. I'm sure General Motors out there like, Lonnie, let's holler at you about that.
We're getting closer every day.
All right, sounds great.
Yeah, we've got the technology now. We're transitioning it out of the laboratory, putting together large demonstration cells. So we're on track.
All right, handle it. Hold on. All right, what the hell kind of fan is this?
What's that?
The hell kind of fan?
Hey, man, that's technology, man. My mama told me if they got it, go get it.
What? We got a lithium battery. We got...
Hey, man. This how you play golf with the brothers.
Damn. Well, then we got Mr. Three Fans over here.
Four.
He got, I mean, like, the hell?
Hey, and why? I'm a part of this brother. I only play with things in the wire.
Yeah, but, I mean,
This ain't your
It's
grandpa.
a light day.
This ain't your grandpa New Orleans
I mean,
Saints.
we got a fan behind for the back of your head. Well, we got one for your thigh. We got misting. Like what?
This is what we do, bro.
Did you grow up in Wisconsin or something?
No, I grew up in Buffalo, New York. From?
Oh, you grew up in Buffalo?
Yes.
Oh, so that's why your ass can't handle the heat.
Cannot handle the heat.
I mean,
but you be on the corner. When you on the corner.
I mean, listen, you got an AC unit in here too?
Well,
What?
you know, got a little music, you know.
You got deep freeze in the back?
Got some beers, got some cold beers, you know. We just trying to have a good time.
Damn.
This is a new golf. Trying to have a good time, man.
I know. I mean, you got a bucket back here?
Practice king. Bucket back here.
Like, are you painting? Oh, like, we got a bucket. We got range balls. We got, I mean, again.
You never know when you're going to need something.
Literally got.
Huh? If you're going to need something, I got you. I got you. If you need something. That's right.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying.
You never know when you're going to need something.
He got a little Saints logo, little NFL alumni.
This is how we do. This is how we do it in the A, baby.
He got 4 fans in here.
Yeah.
Tell me they ain't that hot.
Man, they got fans on the ground. I got fans in the car.
And air conditioned.
Huh?
It's air conditioned.
Thank you.
And he got covers in case it rains.
Hello?
If you need all that, go home. Just go ahead and stay in the house.
Nah, this is my house.
Put some slippers on and stay in the house.
This is my house. Can't you tell?
We got mirrors and everything.
This is my house, man. Inside the interior lights, light on, light on.
What the hell is that, a fire alarm?
Just in case.
What is that?
How many times people call me and say, you got this? I got you. What you need? You got this? I got that. What's up?
Oh my goodness. I'm just.
What's up, man? You don't get no better.
I'm looking at all these fans he got in here.
Fans on the ground.
He's our pretty boy. He is our designated pretty boy.
Designated pretty boy?
Designated pretty boy.
On up.
Huh?
Whenever I need a
Move
road
on
dog,
up. You remember George Jefferson?
Right.
Moving on up.
Right.
This is one of our brothers who moved on up.
When you ain't got nothing to do, you late for that. This is what you do. That's how you look when you do it. I'm just saying.
Wait a minute. Let me just flash.
Ain't nobody trying to see that little bitty ass belt.
Let me just flash a little bit.
First of all, if you gotta hold it up, it ain't worth nothing.
Yeah. You know what it is.
Nobody know what that is. That's called a flyaway signal.
That's my boys.
That's the flyaway signal.
That's my boys. That's why we roll.
Oh, that's all your boys in prison?
Yeah. We ain't no social club.
That's all your boys in prison?
We ain't no social club.
You know y'all got more prison chapters than anything. Let me tell you something.
Allegedly.
Anytime I see an Omega, I check for electronic monitoring. I let them see, you know. Make sure his probation officer let him come out here.
Yeah. We cut our monies in hundreds. And thousands.
Yeah, and
millions.
Now you know, doggone, that's a lie. Now
you know that.
You know y'all got a bunch of penny nairs.
Wait a minute, man. This is just in the neighborhood. Look, goddamn Shaq.
You know.
Okay. I think he got a couple of them millions.
Who?
Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay, you ever heard of
and he is a Q.
Let me ask you.
And there's another guy.
Let me ask you a question.
Named Michael Jordan.
You ever heard of Robert Smith?
You ever heard of Michael Jordan?
No, you ever heard of Robert Smith?
Oh, yeah, I heard of him.
Right.
And?
He's an alpha.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, go sit your ass down.
Yeah.
So you right. So if you take Michael's money and put it with Shaq's money and all the rest of y'all money, y'all still can't eat Robert Smith. Like, go sit your ass down. You can't. He got $9 billion. You can't. Y'all ain't good. Y'all ain't good at counting.
Last I checked, we got a Super Bowl champion too.
Who?
The one that just won the daggum Super Bowl. Yeah. Jalen Hurts.
Do you know how many?
Jalen Hurts.
Do you know how many historic albums we got that won Super Bowl?
Super Bowl.
First of all,
Super Bowl champion.
Hold on, which NFL player outside of Tom Brady has the most Super Bowl rings?
If you gonna brag, motherfucker, you ought to know the name.
Which one? Which one? You ever heard of Charles Haley?
Man, that's so old.
No. But how many rings he got?
That's old though.
And you know what he is? That's an alpha man. Go and sit your ass down. You can't out-talk me. You can't out-talk me.
John, where you go?
You better retire. Did you just proudly yell that Thurgood Marshall was an Omega? Did you just say Thurgood Marshall was an Omega? Did I just hear that right? No, hell no. Did you just say that Thurgood Marshall was an Omega? Last I checked, Thurgood Marshall plays Alpha at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania.
This was after he tried to play us.
Oh, hell no. You don't even know your own damn history.
He meant Thurston Marshall.
Oh, Thurston Marshall, yeah. Because I know Thurgood. Remember, Dr. King, Alpha. Thurgood Marshall, Alpha. Jesse Owens, Alpha. Do you want me to continue? I'm gonna hurt your feelings. Better sit your ass down. Better sit your ass down. Hold up. Whenever they say whatever, that means the ass whipping has commenced.
Whatever, Roland.
You gonna make the show on that one.
You're on.
Oh, you gonna make the show on that one.
Well, that does it for us here. We want to thank you for watching Roland Martin Unfiltered tonight. If you want to support the work that we do, join the Bring the Funk fan club. We need your support to continue the work, sharing news that impacts Black America. You can send in your donations via Cash App using the QR code that's on your screen. Of course, you can donate by PayPal and Venmo and even Zelle by sending a gift to Roland at rolandsmartin.com. Please make checks and money orders payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 757196, Washington, D.C. 20037-196. Do not forget to download the Black Star Network app that can be found in Apple's App Store and get connected using your phone device or Apple TV. You can also watch the Black Star Network on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TVs, and YouTube. Hit the like button, please, and be sure to subscribe as well. Also, did you get a copy of Roland's book, White Fear? How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds? It's available at bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version read by Roland on Audible. And you can get our gear, shirts, and hats. Stay warm with the Black Star Network hoodie. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. And that is also where you can support Black-owned companies by purchasing their products directly from shopblackstarnetwork.com. Do not forget to download the Black-owned social media app Fanbase. You can find me on there at The Noble Journalist. Isaac Hayes II is the founder. So download the app Fanbase. And if you want to invest, they've already raised $13.4 million. The goal is to raise $17 million by the end of the year. You can learn more on fanbase.com. As we do every Friday, here's a look at our Bring the Funk fan club members. That's it. I have to get back to Indiana. Thanks to Roland for letting me sit in his seat tonight. Have a wonderful night.